Hi, everyone. Hi, Johnny. Welcome, welcome.
Hello.
We will wait for people to come in. And
Hey, Johnny.
thanks for being here, Johnny.
Yes, and
It
thank
should
you for
be
putting us on the calendar.
should be an interesting day.
Oh, it's going to be interesting.
Something new for Angie and I. We've
Yeah.
had a live before, but it was completely different than this type.
Yes.
So we hope that when you leave, that you've at least learned one thing.
That you have something taken away from what we say or someone in the chat says.
Yep. And I know both Angie and I have done a lot of research on this, so uh, it's not all going to come from what we think personally. At least
No,
I can speak for myself.
no, it's not. I mean, I can share some things of what I've gone through, but until you share things with them, with people that it's written somewhere else and it's not just someone's opinion, it's like I don't know everything. I'm still growing and finding out, I
Hi,
don't want to know
Claudette,
everything.
and
Hey,
hi,
Pamela.
Pamela.
Hey, Claudette.
I think
Willow.
if you open your mind, you can learn one thing a day, and I don't care if it's just in life or it's even crafts, it's projects you're doing, but none of us know it all. And I was just telling Angie backstage, I've sewed since I was a little girl, and I actually sewed professionally for a while. But I've learned new tricks in the last couple of years, things that I never knew.
Well,
So,
it's like you said, things are changing. Things do not stay the same. And a lot of people don't like change and they'll say, "Oh, I hate change." But you know what? Change comes every day and it's good. Some change is very good.
yep, yep. And so, it's the
Hey,
main thing
Gina.
is to open your mind. And anyway, I think we have some good material. Um, I prayed before I came on. I hope the Holy Spirit gives me the right words to say. And when we speak about what our beliefs, we're not trying to push it out on you. It's what we believe. So don't be offended by, oh, they're just going to talk about the Bible. Um,
That's our foundation.
yeah,
Everybody needs a starting point of where they're going to begin to grow and get mature, get more mature and grow. And you have to have a foundation. So that's our foundation.
yeah. And anyway, we have 12 in. You want to get started?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay, our topic too is how to speak your truth. And the word your, think about it. That means what you think is true. So what we say, we're not trying to tell you, hey, that's the truth. It's how we feel. So a title like that really opens up the subject. And what I want to do is, before we get started, I'm going to let Angie give her little talk. But I have some titles, and I want to speak about them, and then I want to put it out in the chat. How do you feel about that? You know, do you have any ideas? Um, but it's all, most of what I'm going to talk about is fixing ourselves. We're not trying to fix everyone else. We need to fix ourselves first, and everything else falls in place. And I was just saying to Angie, um, I know in my life, since I've been working on fixing me, I perceive people in a different view now. I can understand why they're the way they are, or maybe figure out how they think just a little bit. And it helps you respect them and even forgive them. So, Anyway, sweet Angie, get going.
Um, when Josie and I discussed about having a program together, she didn't say anything to me. I didn't say anything to her. But when we met up together and had a conversation, we were actually both on the same page with what we wanted it to be about. Nothing like has ever been done that I've went into a chat and been a part of. We didn't want it to be a drama. We didn't want it to be judging people for their belief or how they were or what type of person they were. We wanted it to be a safe place for people to come and be able to share who they were, how they wanted to be, where they were growing, how do they get to where they want to be. And when I come up with the title, The Calm Before the Storm, because I thought, well, everybody's going to go through a storm. Everybody's going to go through a battle, a situation. But if you can get information before you go through that situation, then you can reference back to, oh, I heard this. Someone spoke about this. I can be calm in this. I can learn something through this. And I feel like Josie and I, through our experiences and through your experiences in the chat, we can share with each other and we can be the calm before the storm, and we can meet up and be a part of each other's lives to be able to grow more. So I hope that's what comes out of this show that Josie and I are doing is no judgment, our perception is our reality. So whatever we perceive about ourselves, that's what we are. But our perception can change. So that's what we want to do is work on ourselves and let things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
And feel free about and ask questions. We welcome comments. No drama, please. And no, we're not talking about anyone, any particular person. This is not, we're not condemning, we're not criticizing, we're not gossiping.
We're not pointing fingers. We're not trying to get a little punch in there because we heard something that happened on YouTube. It's not like that. We're just trying to come together as a group and grow.
Yep. And I can honestly say for myself, I've got a long ways to go, but I have, in my heart, I have forgiven everyone that's ever done me wrong. I'll leave it that way. And it's not an easy road to go on. It takes work.
And that's a freedom that you cannot and will not understand until you get to that point in your life. And I want to say this, it's okay if you're not there yet, because forgiveness is a work in progress. I mean, it depends on the what someone did to you, how hard of a thing it was that offended you, and the person that was close to you, were they real close and they hurt you? I mean, there's a lot of factors in there for you to be able to forgive easily or over time.
Mm-hmm. And I want to start it with truth is about how we feel. And I'll read a few things that, I'm not reading everything, but I want to read this. Truth is not about being right. Truth is about how we feel and what is real for us.
Yes.
And, we might think, oh, wow, I don't like this particular thing, or I don't like how someone's acted. But sometimes we get our emotions to imagine things. It's like running a movie in your mind. Have you ever decided before that other person even talked to you that you've decided the whole scenario?
Oh, you played it out 100
You
times.
played it out. And
how it's going to go.
Yeah, that poor other innocent person doesn't feel that way at all. So the truth is really important. But the truth and how we feel, say, we all entitled to our own opinion. For example, I might have an opinion that you are rude. I might even have evidence of things you did in the past that were rude. My truth about this, though, might be I'm worried you will hurt my feelings. So we get our feelings so, you know, some of us wear our feelings on our sleeve. And we're so, again, we're focused on us.
And
And
I want to say, Josie, and I've shared this with you before. We have to meet people where they are. We are all not on the same street, the same highway of life. Some of us are on another journey, trying to learn another lesson. We're not all learning the same lessons. Some people hadn't learned the lessons that we've learned, and some people have already learned things that we don't know. So when we meet people, we have to meet them where they are and not judge them, you know?
and then there's one another, speaking your truth, you open the door to freedom. So my feeling is, when in your mind you have concocted this scenario, you've decided the whole outcome already. Why not, with love, communicate with that person? And in 9 times out of 10, you find that person never meant to say or do what you think they meant to do or say.
Um,
You perceived it in your own mind.
uh, and I say this not in a ugly way, but why are we so hell bent on prejudging and not accepting a person for who they are and just approach them the way we want to be approached and spill them out? Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. There are people out in the world that are mean and nasty and manipulative, and they don't want to change. There are people like that. But when you approach them with love in your initial contact, you will know immediately whether you want to love them from a distance or you want to bring them, be a part of who and learn about them, you know? So you can't just look at someone that's having a bad day that you've met and you thought, oh, I don't want to, be around them or whatever. You've got to give them the benefit of the doubt and you try to get to know them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and I have found, and I've used this remark before, the first time, sometimes when you meet somebody, here's the old judgmental brain says, oh, well, they're not very attractive, or they don't have a good personality. And once you get to know them, they become beautiful or handsome. And I mean, I have met some, okay, some people that, you hear little gossip. And when I got to know the people, I thought, oh my gosh, they're wonderful. They're good. And so we sometimes don't take the time to get to know someone because we're too busy wanting to know ourselves, and we think we know it all.
The old adage, don't judge a book by its cover. That speaks volumes when you start practicing that, because you just think it's something that people say, oh, don't judge a book by its cover. That means don't, what you see on the outside, don't think that's what it actually is on the inside. But we don't take that to heart sometimes and listen to some of these words that people have said in the past to use for our everyday life. Like, don't judge a book by its cover. Get to know the person. Try to figure out, you don't know their history, for one thing. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know their story. You don't know what the journey they've had to walk, the road they've had to walk. I mean, even people that you are related to and you grew up with, you really do not know them unless they want you to know them.
I want to ask the crowd that's in the chat, is it hard for you to tell the truth? And I'm talking with love. I'm not talking you go up to somebody and you just are rude. I'm talking, why is it so hard to tell the truth? Are I just like to
Yeah.
hear other opinions.
Yeah.
Why
What
is
is
it
your
so hard?
idea of telling somebody the truth? Um, Maybe a truth about you that they don't know, because when you come on YouTube, people can act any way. They can portray themselves as anything they want to portray themselves as. But really, if you befriended someone on YouTube and you thought, well, I need to tell them this, they don't really know me. How would you truthfully feel freedom to tell them, this is about me. I need to share this with you.
Mhm.
What would you do? Or maybe about them. You don't feel comfortable around them. You don't understand, why they do the things they do. And ask it on a level of being caring about them, not judging them.
So just, what's wrong with just saying, even if you say, okay, let's go out for lunch, and you're sitting there with your friend, why can't you start a conversation and say, you know, you said this to me. Did I misunderstand? Can you clarify? You know, or I feel this way. You hurt my feelings. And 9 times out of 10, again, our minds, our human minds, they get on the negative streak. You know,
I think once someone does something to us that hurts us, we automatically want to lash back instead of coming to a point of, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Well, I mean, why did you do that? I need to know why you're acting the way you're acting.
and I always tell people, and I kind of joke about it, that if you don't want the truth, don't ask me a question.
Oh,
And
I'm a firm believer in that.
yeah, because especially being a retired nurse, and I get medical questions. I'm not going to come out and just say something blunt and hurt you or scare you, but I'm also not going to tell you a lie and say, oh, it's all wonderful and it's going to go away, because that's false hope. And
Yes,
so I always tell people, if you don't want to know the truth, don't ask me, because I'm
I'm
not going to
very
lie to
much
you.
a realist, you know, and I don't judge people who are not realist. I mean, some people are eccentric. Some people live in a fantasy world. Some people live and everything is good and nobody's evil. I mean, I don't judge you for what world you live in. I just
Mhm.
know the world I live in, and I don't expect you to agree with everything that my world involves, and we can still be friends.
Yeah.
Josie, do
I
you want to read some of these, what they said about the question that you asked?
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go up here. Hi, Ella. Ella said a blanket hello. Mary Pelletier, I always try to tell the truth. I don't necessarily share everything about myself that I would like to. Well, sometimes you have to be careful about who you share things with also to
Now
protect
that could be a
yourself.
whole nother show because you got to be able to understand that everybody can't hold water, and
Yeah,
everybody's not gonna not tell your past, and they want to tell your story to everybody else. I'm a firm
exactly.
believer. I don't want to tell anybody's story. I want them to tell their story.
And Johnny says, I will tell the truth. And if they can't handle the truth, I'm sorry. And that's good, Johnny, because sometimes too, when somebody say, I'm gonna say blunt or says the truth to you, your first reaction is to get hurt. But you've planted the seed. And sometimes after we think about it, and we'll say, hey, that person was right. So
Also, Josie, have you ever thought about this? People that other people tell the truth to, you have to be willing to um accept. You say, "Oh, I tell the truth. I tell people exactly what I feel." Do you receive that? Do you receive when people tell you the truth? I mean, if you're a truthful person and you're always telling truth, you've got to respect when people come to you and tell you, "Oh, you hurt me. You did this to me." I mean, you can't get angry when you yourself speak truth. You have to be. It has to be a balance.
and remember something, and I have a relative, so I'm thinking about this right now. I have a relative who, in his mind, he thinks he's telling the truth. he actually believes his lies. So, it's a battle, and I think what it helps to have your faith in what you believe, your foundation, your faith. And
This this is what I
I
think.
always advise too, if you have a problem and you can afford or your insurance will pay, get professional help.
There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely
Nope,
none.
there
Because
is
in my
not.
30s, I'll share this. In my 30s, I had to go seek professional help to get through a situation that I was going through that had arisen from my childhood that I had not remembered. And I started remembering it, and I had to be able to deal with it. So I went and sought professional help. And I was working at the bank at that time, and I was really ashamed that I was having to go. And that doctor looked at me and he said, "No, the problem is not you coming to get help. The problem is people that are needing it and not coming. You are seeking, help with this situation that has arisen in your 30s that you had suppressed and you didn't remember, and now it's all coming back." And that helped me so much in my life to be able to get that help. It freed me from a lot of things.
Yeah. And there's something else I read that I really like. By speaking your truth, you open the door to your freedom. What if we dare to speak up like that in all areas of our life, our work, our relationships, our family, with people in public and in general? Imagine the freedom and power we would possess. It's not all about getting in people's faces and challenging them, although sometimes it might take that form. And it, an important distinction to remember is the difference between our opinions and our truth. There's
You know what has always stood out to me is the fact that it's so easy for some people to get offended. And see, I don't get offended easily because I respect other people's opinions and their thoughts, and I feel like, well, maybe I can learn from this, or maybe I can take something from them to understand who they are.
yeah.
So in order for you to get offended, you have to really um res- respect the person that's saying it to you, and value them more than you value yourself. And see, you should value yourself more and know where you stand, and it wouldn't offend you so much when someone said something that you didn't agree with, because you already have that foundation of, oh, you can say what you want, but I know truth, you
Yeah.
know.
No. And Claudette says, I feel like I'm truthful with things I talk about. I sometimes talk too much. Hey, that's me. I don't tell everyone everything. I am private about certain topics. And I
That
think
is
you
very,
need to
yeah.
be. I think you need to be because, like I said, not everyone's your friend. You have to be careful.
And I
But
will
when you
say this, on YouTube, you have to be very careful about
Yes,
sharing personal things about yourself, because you have to realize that people are so fickle and they will turn on you on a dime. And
hmm
once they know things about you, you can't take that back, and they will start spreading it all over the place. So you have to be really careful about that.
and Gina says you can always tell someone is lying by their lengthy explanations, trying to mask the truth. And that's also true because you really, in most cases, shouldn't have to go into detail and explain yourself.
I always was told, if someone ask you a question and you don't want to answer it, you should always say, why? Why do you want to know? You answer their question with a question. If you're not comfortable with them asking you, you just come back with why? Why do you want to know?
And this mainly, I think, at least how I feel, mainly this talk is about we're to fix ourselves. We can't fix other people. Sometimes we can plant the seed, but mainly we need to work on fixing ourselves first. And once you fix yourself, I know for myself, a lot of people look a lot different to me now. And it
Well,
took me a long time. Hey, I'm no spring chicken.
if
I
you're
would be,
focusing on you, then you don't have time to get into the drama, to get into the gossip, to get into trying to figure out why this happened, how that happened. But now let me share this. There are people that are genuinely concerned about you, or you are genuinely concerned about them. They don't want to get caught up in the gossip. They really want to know, oh, what happened? Why is this going on with this person or whatever? But you will know sincere people and people that are not sincere by the way they are, the way they act, what they say, the people that they're around. You'll know.
yeah. And then how do we enhance and deepen our capacity to speak our truth with kindness, love, and authenticity? There are lots of things that we can do to accomplish this. Here are three to think about. Have empathy, compassion for yourself as you practice. This is not easy for most of us. Remember that each situation is always new and different. Speaking your truth is not always going to be easy, but it will be worth it.
Pamela says, I was bullied by two people who that who I thought were my friends, but it took me ages to forgive them. It's one thing to be bullied by people that you are not friends with, or you think are not your friends. It's another thing to be bullied by people that you feel like are your friends. And it would probably take a longer time to get over something like that. I would say betrayal from a friend is hurts a lot worse than betrayal from someone that you just met on the street. I
Yes.
mean, when a friend hurts you. So, Pam, I can completely understand where you're coming from with that.
She was, and bullying is terrible. On my other channel, I did do a series on bullying, and it's a terrible thing. And sometimes it's allowed in schools, which they don't do much about. But anyway, that's a different
And my
subject.
personal opinion is bullying is a learned thing. They learn it. It's sad to say, but they learn it from an adult, or they learn it from a child does. I mean, it's not just in that child to start bullying. They had to have seen it somewhere. Someone had to tell them about it. And I'm a firm believer that we were born with a clean slate, that nothing was written on our life. And when people start writing things on our slate, like bullying others, being manipulative, being judgmental, thinking we're better than someone because they don't have as much as we have, or they don't look the way we look. I mean, I think that's all starts at a young age, where it's just written on your slate. And unless you erase it and start with something new, like starting on ourselves, working on ourselves, then you're going to continue that behavior, because that's what was instilled in you as a young person.
Yeah, it's and it's really sad, like Angie says, we were born with a clean slate, and um, our parents. And I'm not. It's not easy to be a parent,
Oh no.
and
And
I
it didn't
and I
come
re-
with
and I remember, and my son was so right. I remember saying, you know, especially with your first child, it's learned as you go. And I remember saying, we didn't get a instructions how to be a parent. And my son looked at me and he said, "Mom, there's the Bible."
right.
And I thought, wow, I wish I'd have known that when I was young. I mean, I knew there was a Bible and I believed, but did I follow it? No.
I think parent we call my son our trial baby, because everything, he was our firstborn, so everything that we were learning about being parents, it was just a trial and error, you know. And on him, you can tell he's different than my daughter, because he was the firstborn. So we were growing as he was growing, learning how to discipline, learning how to what we wanted him to learn, like writing on the slate, writing things, and so he's our trial baby, is what we call him, because he was our trial and error. We made mistakes. All parents do, and it's fine. You're going to. You're not going to be a perfect parent. You're not even a perfect person. And it's like Josie says, I'm not perfect. I don't want to be perfect. I don't have a desire to be perfect. I just have a desire to strive to be a better me, a
Mhm.
better person.
I would like to know just a little scenario. Okay, somebody comes up to you and um, they are telling you how they feel about a certain situation. And in the conversation, a little bit of gossip, a little bit of drama. Do you, as a person, do you have the strength to tell them the truth? Or at least to say, I really don't want to discuss this because it's not my battle. I want to know how many of you could, and this is a learning process. I'm not criticizing because I've had to learn it. And sometimes I'm not good at it.
And
But
we have a human nature to want to know what is going on within a situation. We all want to know what's going on, but we should seek it out for concern and caring about the person, not to number one, laugh, not to judge, not to say, "Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I saw it coming. They deserve what they got. I'm so happy they're suffering for what they did." Not for that reason, but it's hard not to engage when there's a major situation going on within a community and not want to find out what's going on, you know?
yeah, and that's why I'm curious. I mean, it's a learning. It's not easy because you're kind of put on the spot. You like that person that's talking to you, and maybe they're pretty close friend. So you don't want to,
Upset them.
upset them or start another drama battle. So how would you handle it professionally and as a bystander? How would you handle it and yet tell the truth? I would like to know. I mean, it's something we all have to work on. How would you handle it? Could you tell that person, please, it's not my battle. I'm here, for you if you need help, but don't include me. Could you tell that person that?
Josie, when I get into a conversation with someone and I have heard something that's going on, and I know the person that I'm speaking to may or may not know something about the situation, I always approach it like, now I'm going to ask you a question. Ask you a question. If you want to answer it, you can, and if you don't, I'm not going to be upset. I understand if you can't talk about it. I understand if you don't want to talk about it, and it's not your place to talk about it. But I'm really concerned about what's going on, and I would, if you know anything, kind of just don't go into major detail, but just kind of let me know, is the person okay?
Hmm.
Have they worked things out? Uh, is there something I can do to help them? That's the main thing. When something happens, why do you want to know unless you want to give a helping hand to help the situation?
Yeah.
I mean, why do
Okay.
you just want to know just so you can talk about it? I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't understand that.
See, to me, the truth's really important. Okay, I'll use myself for an example. Say I colored my hair blonde, well, not blonde, say green, and it looked horrible on me. I would respect somebody if they came up and said, Josie, you look better with the other color.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
you and all that, but the green is not you.
yeah. But some people are so afraid of offending. They'd say, "Oh yeah, it looks great, beautiful." I don't like that. I like the truth.
Yeah,
But
they could say to me, Josie, it may look good to you and you may enjoy it, but really it's not very attractive and it's just not you. I'm not used to seeing you with green hair, and that other color you used to have is gorgeous and I love it. You know what I'm saying? But then you got to think about, you got to be true to you, and if you want to be with green hair, it really doesn't matter what someone else thinks about it.
exactly, that's what I
You
was
have to
getting
think
at.
about
Yeah.
that too. But in reality, if they don't like it, I feel like they should have the freedom to tell you that they do not like it and you not get offended about it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And see, that's sometimes, just to keep peace too, we just agree, even if then we end up getting upset, mad over something we should have never got mad at, maybe even gossiping to someone else because it bugged us. And yet, if we would have said the truth in the first place, it would have alleviated all of that.
And if you ask the question, you can't be mad at the answer. I mean,
Right,
you've got to
exactly.
realize, okay, I've asked this question. What do you think about my hair? Okay, if you got an answer that you wasn't really expecting, you can't be mad, or you shouldn't, because you asked.
And St. Nana King says, I could tell anyone anything face to face. I have a filter issues that would not bring it to YouTube. And you're correct.
I
It
think
shouldn't
things should
be.
be handled back away from the like us being here on panel. Um, when you put 5 or 6 people on a panel and they start attacking someone or prejudging them or thinking that they did something, and even if they did do it, let's just say, yeah, they did it. They started this whole scenario of gossip between you five that's on the panel. One person started this rumor about you five, and they were trying to tear you down and trying to be ugly toward you. They did it. That doesn't mean you have to get on YouTube, do an open panel, and try to destroy that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's, and like I said, I find in most of this, especially when you're younger, um, you can, think of, you'd rather tell, I'll call it a lie than speaking the truth. And it is a freedom when you can speak the truth, but speak it in love.
Scooter Renee says, I can't handle the drama channels. I like drama on Bravo channel. LOL.
There's a lot of drama channels on YouTube, and what a way. Think about it. What a waste of time. You know,
That's minutes and hours of your day you're gonna never get back because you've watched drama, and what does that accomplish? What does that? And I'm gonna tell you something. I have been guilty of that, to being caught up in this one channel that had drama, and then
hmm
one day I just stopped and said, Angie, this is ridiculous. You are spending too much time over here over this is crazy. Don't even, why are you engaging in this? And I had to say, I'm not going back in there. And I didn't. But I was only lurking. I wasn't actually going into the chat.
yeah,
But I was getting enthralled like, oh, what's this person gonna say next? Because everything that was coming out of this person's mouth was not a truthful statement. And they were attacking everybody that come into their chat. And they were, it was just bad. And I was thinking, how does a person live like this? And then they professed to be a Christian, and they would pray, and I would just go, oh, no, 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 no. I would just get chills, like that doesn't seem right to me. And I had to leave there, and I had to ask forgiveness because I usually don't get caught up in something like that. But I'm saying this because it's so easy to get caught up in a situation. Before you know it, you're in the middle of it, wanting to find out who said this, who's doing this, what's going on. Are they still mad at each other? Are they still talking about each other, in a negative way? And it's so easy to get caught up in it.
it is. It's, we're human. We have all the human flaws. But I think if you practice, and this is what all the material I researched on, practice. Just try it. Take little baby steps. Um, if you see something is wrong, just tell the truth. But like I said, in love and kindness, you don't have to walk up to somebody and start telling them your truth. It might not even be the real truth. It's your truth.
I can't imagine a day that I would wake up and not be focused on how I can be a better person, how I can make someone's day a better day, how I could say something positive that may change a person's life. I don't see how people don't wake up doing that, thanking the good Lord they have made it to another day. They have the chance to right a wrong. If you've done something wrong, you can fix it. And for people to wake up wanting drama every morning of their life, I cannot even fathom that thought. I that's not even part of who I am. I'm not judging you if you are wanting to be that type of person. I'm just saying I can't fathom that living that life, you know?
And then this is a good one. Stop managing other people's feelings.
Oh, that is a good one.
And, something here is when we try to manage other people's emotions, we use it as a cop out, not to speak our truth. Think about that.
Um, when you try to manage someone else's emotion and you try to, and just the buttons not to push to get them upset. I mean, how are you ever going to grow if someone is coddling you and telling you that you're doing everything right when they know deep down that you are not doing what you profess that you're doing, not what we think you should be doing, but what's coming out of your mouth and what you're doing is two different things. And you have to get those two things lined up in order to grow. You can't say one thing out of your mouth and pretend you're something else. It doesn't work.
Yeah. And what Nana King said is so true. Sadly, it sometimes takes a tragedy in one's life to realize life is too short for stupid crap.
Amen on that.
And if you think about this, we don't know when the Lord's going to come to get us. It could be the next second.
One of us tonight. One of us tonight.
It's some stupid argument or something you disagreed about, or you don't like this person or that person. Is it really important?
Yeah.
It's
how much
not.
is it going to matter tomorrow, next week, next month, next year? How much is it going to matter?
And I've seen people. I've had relatives who maybe were not believers, and then when tragedy hit them, all of a sudden you're looking for, an anchor. You're looking for some faith and that things are going to turn out right. So, uh, speaking the truth, like I said, we all need to practice it and do it in a loving manner. And sometimes I think if we fix ourselves, it might plant a seed in someone else.
And it will cause you to be able to, like Josie said, see someone in a different light, be able to forgive them maybe sooner than you actually would have forgiven them. Not just completely cut them off. Some people, when they get something done to them, and we've all had this in our life, we want to cut that person off completely. And just because, and for a time you may have to, but you can respect them and speak to them and not really get in depth with them, but not ignore them to the point of other people noticing, wait a minute, they're still not speaking. They still have this little thing going on or whatever. And I'm saying it could take time, but you need to work. And I say we as in myself, to the point where you can actually start speaking to that person again, and not to the point that you'll ever let them take advantage of you, but to the point that that you've released them and you have forgiven them, and that's going to set an example for everybody that's watching. Everybody that's watching is going to say, wow, she's the bigger person. She got over it. How did she do that? I mean, that would be hard for me to do. And maybe it'll bring up a conversation of how was you ever strong enough to do that?
And Black Widow says we can only change what we can change. Some things we must accept. You can, okay. There's things in the past, no, we can't change, but you can change how you accept them today and how you feel about them today. And tragedies and hardships that we ever go through should make us stronger, should make us grow as a better person. Um, so I think it's hard work. It's not easy. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to be a new person tomorrow. Sometimes it takes months, years. Um, taken me a long time. I'm going to be 84 in March, so it's taken me a heck of a long time.
Have
But
you ever walked, Josie? I'm gonna ask you in the chat. Have you ever walked up, like for instance, when I worked at the library, there was this woman that would come in, and as soon as I was at the front desk, I had an office, but I had walked up to the front desk to help one of the ladies do something. And this lady walks in. Well, she walks up to the counter. She's returning books. She's not happy. She got fined for lateness or something. But immediately, I could just feel, it was just like, whoo, you know, you couldn't see it, but you knew something was not right. You could just feel. Sometimes you don't connect to people because they come off with this. I don't know. When I felt that from her, I looked at the lady that I was helping. I said, "Look, I got to go back to my office just a minute, and I'll be back in a minute." But you know how, and I always laughed and said the reason that happened is because my demons met her demons, and we were just kind of going back and forth, and we wasn't connecting. But sometimes when you meet someone, it they carry so much animosity and so much anger and so much hate that they don't know how to get rid of. That immediately when you walk up to them or meet them, you you feel that what they're dealing with.
yeah, and see, my belief, and it's just my belief now. I'm not trying to push it on anyone else, but I've always believed that being here on Earth is like a school. We're here to learn.
Oh yeah, it's a
God
test.
wants us to learn, and we're like little kids. It takes a long time sometimes to learn, and a lot of the things that have happened in our life and tragedies, a lot of them, and I'm not saying all of them, a lot of them are because we made bad choices. We can't always blame someone else for causing us problems when we made bad choices. And I think we're all pretty much all guilty of that. I know I speak for myself. I am guilty of that. But we're supposed to learn from those tragedies and hardships. And so it should make your present and if we have a future better because we've learned our lessons. Now, I don't know if anyone agrees or disagrees. You can tell me
The
that.
hardest thing for me to learn, one of the hardest lessons for me was, where it says, well, what are you proving if you love the people that love you? How easy is it to love somebody that loves you? You should love the ones that do not love you and, love them. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't sound correct to me. When I was younger, it's like, I don't want to love somebody that's mean and ugly and nasty and don't love me. But as I've grown older, I have realized that you can love and pray for people that are treating you badly. That doesn't mean you have to get involved with them. It doesn't mean that you have to befriend them. But you don't, it's harder to love someone that attacks you, and it teaches you that's the correct thing to do instead of always saying, okay, well, I can love anybody, especially if they love me. It's harder to love somebody that doesn't show love toward you.
It
I'm
is.
not saying take abuse. I'm not saying letting them do things to you that is not correct. I'm saying from a spiritual view, pray for that person, you know, do nice things that they may not know it's you doing, and just show that you're the bigger person and you are going to be able to show a different side, and don't meet them with anger, meet them with something different.
Yeah. And in Black Widow says, pray for them. They need peace. Yes. And praying for your enemies is one of the hardest things to do. And I can say, took me a long time. Took me a heck of a long time. So, hey, there's hope for everyone to grow, and we're still going to make mistakes for the rest of our lives.
It's so funny now that I look back because when I was in my 30s and probably my early 40s, I would think I knew everything. You don't really, when you wake up and you're 40 and you realize you know nothing, then you're going to be able to grow, and mature. But before then, in your 30s, you kind of think, well, I know this, I know that.
You think you know it all.
Yeah. And then you realize at 40, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. But when you get in, like if I was in my 30s and I had an enemy and people would say, why don't you just pray for them? And I would think, I'm not praying for them. They did this, and this to me. But yet and still, I was professing to love people and be honest and be genuine and be all this thing. And at the time, I couldn't even pray for the person that had actually offended me or actually harmed my child in some way or done something to me. But yet still, I was walking around like, oh, yeah, I got it all together. I know. And I didn't. And then I had to realize when I got older, Angie, you need to just get over yourself and you need to realize that you are not who you think you are. You need to realize that you're no better than the person that you are judging or you are trying to say did this or that. And you just need to work on you. And that's mostly when it all started, when I realized, hey, I need to look in the mirror and say, am I really portraying who I say I am? Because I wasn't at the time. I was acting like I was the person. And in my mind, I believed that I was doing right, but I wasn't.
Yeah. And I really had a hard time with forgiveness. And bring my personal life up. I never heard my mother in all her 98 years ever forgive anyone. I never heard her say, I'm sorry. Never. So I had to work overtime on, changing me. I could never change her. I tried. It didn't work. It didn't work.
No,
So
we can never change anyone. They can only make a decision to change themselves and want to get to be a better person and a more knowledgeable person on how people need to be treated. And what I can't stand, and I say this can't stand, but lying to me is
yeah,
so, oh, I just can't stand. And you already know before you ask the person, all right, did you say this? Did this happen? 9 times out of 10, you already know the answer before you ask the question. And then you find out they're going to lie about it. And you're thinking, okay, why are they lying? Are people that just make up lies about someone else? What is in your mind to just sit back and say, okay, I'm just going to start this rumor about this person and I'm just going to see how far it goes?
and
Lying, I don't really do well with lying.
and it's gotten worse. But let's face it, everyone has a computer or a phone, and anyone behind the keyboard, it's easy to, you know,
And everybody lies. I don't care
yeah,
who you are.
yeah,
I don't care how great you are. Everybody
every
lies.
lie. Yeah, we are sinners. If we were perfect, I always say, if I was perfect, I wouldn't be here on this earth. Only Jesus is perfect.
I
But
want to throw this question out there, Josie.
yeah,
Uh, and I'll ask the chat this, why do you think, and this may be simplicity for some, but why do you think people as a community cannot get along with one another? I mean, I know you're going to have disagreements, but why does it have to evolve into such a state where it involves the rest of the community to feel like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do now? Because I like this person and I like this person, and they're at odds with each other. And how am I going to handle this? And what am I going to do to let the people that are left hanging to know that they don't really have to choose a side, but sometimes one of the people make them like, okay, you're either going to be over here with me or you're not. And I think that is so hard, and I don't understand why
Well,
people do that.
Sandy says insecurity. Mary says ego, and Scooter says jealousy. You hit it right on. Pride. Pam says pride. You hit it right on. And you know, this is how I feel. This is personally. I I'm not jealous of anyone.
Oh no, I don't have jealousy in me.
Um, and if you're in my auction, you know I encourage links. I encourage shout outs. There shouldn't be a competition about anything actually. um, just do your best and
Nana
know
says, I
that.
think it's a power struggle. Some feel the need to take the power. Yeah. And Lena says some people are just evil. That's what we have got to get in our mind, that some people are just put in your path to try to destroy who you are as a person. They're going to
Satan's
try to,
working overtime. I
yes,
keep saying Satan's working overtime.
because they
um,
enjoy pitting people against one another and sit back and watch this show. Yeah, that's true.
but if you find, and it boils all down to the truth again, if you tell the truth, if you find out the truth, all the other stuff would disappear. Because if somebody tells you this gossip, and you kind of look into it and you find out it's a lie, if you stop it right there and don't spread it, see, you got to spread the truth, not lies.
And if you don't engage in it, and the person that wants you to engage in it gets angry or gets upset because you will not engage in it, then you need to step back and think, what's their motive? Why are they getting so angry? I made a choice. And what I don't understand is when people make choices, because that's what life's all about, making choices. Sometimes we have to make a hard choice. Sometimes it's an easy choice, but it's about choices. When I make a choice, why does it upset so many people? Like me not wanting to engage in maybe somebody coming up to me wanting to get me involved in the gossip. You shouldn't be mad at me if I say to you, "Oh, I would rather not be involved in that." You know,
And at the end, I'm gonna say hello to everyone. I'm not trying to ignore you, but we're trying to read, the statements. And there's another thing it says here, but our truth runs much deeper than any of our opinions.
opinion and truth is two different things. You're exactly right. Opinion is something that you have come up in your mind that would suit you, soothe you, make you feel comfortable in every situation if everybody would just go along with your opinion. But truth is covers the whole body of people that's listening. It's not
Yep.
just how you feel, it's about how everybody feels.
We all, down deep, let's be honest, we all think we're right. And most of us think we know it all. And you shut your mind. If you keep your mind open, I always say you can learn something every day if you have an open mind. And for me, it's not hard for me to admit I'm wrong. And like I said, everybody hears me say I say I have a lot of faults. You know, it's a work in progress.
And
You
I
work
will
at it.
apologize. I will say I'm sorry. Now, I may be sorry that I hurt your feelings and we didn't see eye to eye, but I don't think you should try to take my belief away from me when I've respected your belief. I don't
Hmm.
believe, I think that I'm going to not want you to take what I believe away from me, and I won't take yours away from you. And we can agree to disagree, and we can still be friends. That's what gets me. I'm friends with a lot of different types of people. I mean, I love to meet different types of people. I don't like to be around the same type of person. I want to just be meet other people, get their opinions, their thoughts, their ideas. But a lot of times, some people can't do that because they want to be in a group of people that only thinks like they do. And to me, that's sad because that puts them in a box.
Oh yeah, there's more fights have been going on as far as medical, politics. I mean, from what I hear, even families of relatives not speaking to each other, and which is all stupid, really.
Josie, how this is what I'm trying to get in my mind. You've lived a lot more years than I have. I've lived 57, so I'm getting there. But I have never in time seen like we are today
I'm
where
gonna,
families are so mad at each other for their family member making a choice to vote for this person or vote for that person, and they're not the same, and they don't want to be around them.
I
I've
know.
never seen that in the history of my life. You
I've
know,
never.
I don't understand. Let's just say you and I don't agree on politics, which I don't like talking about, but let's just say we don't agree. I would say, okay, Josie, you don't agree with the same person I agree with. I'm good with that. Well, therefore, we wouldn't talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
exactly.
that would bring up animosity. That we would not discuss it. But that doesn't mean we didn't have other things in common. That doesn't mean that we couldn't love each other and care about each other. I mean, why do you want to cut somebody off because they have made a different choice than you have? I can't comprehend that. I don't
My
understand it.
my best friend who died several years back, we made a pact and she was my friend for 30 years. And we said at the very beginning, we were not going to speak religion and politics. And we never did. And
And you had a great relationship, I'm pretty
and
sure.
we did. And she believed different than I believed, that we never discussed it. And we
And
were
it was
great friends.
probably a beautiful friendship.
It
And
was.
had y'all got into a discussion of that, and one of you got mad at the other and said, "Oh, this is I'm not ever speaking to you again. I'm not ever. This is crazy." How much joy and comfort would y'all have missed with each other had you got in a dispute over something as childish as that?
Yeah.
Just making a choice.
And we had a wonderful friendship. I always knew if something happened, I could call her at 3 in the morning and she'd be there. And she took care of, I don't know how many foster kids, volunteered. Fantastic person, but we talked about everything else, but those were the two subjects we never talked
And I
about.
think that was great that you and she set a boundary. And there's nothing wrong with boundaries. You
And
have to set boundaries for children as they're growing up. I don't see why you could not set boundaries for friendships. Like you just said, look, we're not going to discuss this. We have different opinions. We're not going to do that. You're not being phony. To me, that's the most real thing you can do
yeah,
is approach someone and say, look, we don't agree. We know that we don't agree. So we're just not going to discuss those two things. I think that's admirable to do that, really.
and that's why the word to me, truth, means everything. If you can speak the truth with love and gentleness, kindness, you can have beautiful relationships. I don't care if they're, your married relationship, friendships, even with your children, your adult children. I made a point when I told my kids, when you're on your own and you support yourself, I will never tell you how to live or where to live or anything. Even if I don't agree with you, you'll never know it. And I kept
That's the
that.
way we did with our children. We said the
Yeah.
same thing.
And I kept that.
James couldn't understand this. I'm gonna share this with y'all. I was such a hands-on parent from the time my children were born. But in the word it says when they get of age of accountability, and I figured 18, got them out of school,
Yeah.
they were on their own, and I had 18 years to write on that slate and try to get them to walk the right path of what I thought they should do. And James watched me do this, and he was like that too. But once they turned 18, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done.
You're done.
And so anyway, James would say to me, wait a minute, what are you doing? Like when they was up at college and something would happen, I wouldn't treat it like I did if they were home. And he said, "What is wrong with you? You used to never react like this. You are just, I mean, used to, you would just be all over the place upset." And I said, "I've done what God has asked me to do. He asked me to raise them till they got 18 years old. They know the way they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing. If they don't do it, it's on them. It's not on me. I'm not responsible for them anymore. They have to own it themselves." And he would just look at me like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this. You have always been the parent that was, just right there. And now you're saying, okay, here, go." But I felt like I had taught them, James and I had, to the point where I could let them go. And they've done fine, both of my children. And I'm not bragging when I say that. It's just been a blessing and an answered prayer, you know, because I prayed a many a night for my children.
Yeah.
But,
And,
but
and Justine says, on the other hand, if a family member has done anything physically or mentally harmful to you, you have every right to step away from them so you can heal. Just my humble opinion. You're
oh,
100%
yes,
right, Justine. We don't,
yes.
to me, um, even if you forgive somebody, you don't have to let them back into your life. You know?
I always say, don't go back to enemy camp. I mean, when you get out of a situation that you know is volatile, and you know that it's been physical abuse or any kind of abuse, you can get, and you get out of it, and you get to where you're healing and you're getting better. Don't go back to enemy camp and let it happen all over again. You can forgive and love people from a distance. You don't have to get back involved, even if it is family. You would. Some people say, "I can't believe that you won't, allow your family back into your home, or you're not close to your family." Okay, first of all, they haven't walked your walk. They don't know what you've been through. Just because that person is family doesn't give them the right to harm you, do something to you that's not correct, and you just sit there and take it because you say, "Oh, that's my dad, or that's my mom, or that's my uncle, or that's my aunt. I have to deal with it." No, you don't.
Oh, no, you don't. You speak the truth. There's the truth again. You have to speak the truth and tell somebody what happened, or even go to the authorities, especially if you were, sexually molested or anything like
I've
that.
had to uh, love my uh, extended family, family outside James, myself, and our children, our grandchildren. I've had to cut ties with them in order to be healthy. You know what I'm saying? In order to have a good health, because I would always get upset, and it was causing me to get physically ill. It's not that I don't love them. It's just when they come around, they bring drama, they bring painful things, to my into my home, and I've had to distance myself from them. But I don't. I have forgiven them. It's not like I'm mad at them or I wish harm on them. It's just that's the way I have to live my life. I have to love them from a distance.
Yeah. And there's another thing here. Speaking this deeper truth will not only liberate us, but it has the potential to make a difference for others and bring us closer together with them.
Yes.
Because if you both speak the truth and then you find out that this disagreement that you have isn't even real.
Yeah, and it
And
doesn't really matter in the long run.
no,
It. What's more important? Let's just put it like this: what's more important, for you to be right, or for you to have the friendship? Now, there are people out there that want to be right fighters. They have to be right all the time. Now, do you want to be right in your mind that you're going to be right, or do you want this friendship to go on? And some people choose right, and you have to accept that they choose. Oh, well, then to me, that's like they didn't value your friendship too much. If they're gonna let one little thing happen and you not talk about it. Now, if it happens and you discuss it and you still can't come to an agreement, but sometimes people won't even talk to you about what you've done
no,
to them.
no.
They won't even tell you.
And believe it or not, I've learned a lot from my son. He reads the Bible and he's very professional in his opinion. But he said something not too long ago which really stuck in my mind. We were talking about relatives and you know how relatives get together and fight. And other than cousins, all my relatives are all gone. They're all dead. I mean, you know, I'm old, so they were older than me. Um, and he said, Mom, did it really matter? All the arguments that they had doesn't matter anymore. They're not even here. So nobody won. But think
And it
about
was all for what? Nothing.
nothing when
Well,
they could have enjoyed each other's company.
I never knew why my grandfather's family never came around when I was growing up. We always saw my grandmother's side of the family. Well, as I got older, one day someone was telling the story about why that happened, why my grandfather wasn't around his siblings and why he wasn't close to them anymore and all that. Come to find out, when his mother passed away, my grandfather had a little tea set that she had left at his house because she lived with them before she passed away. And one of his sisters wanted that tea set, and my grandfather and grandmother would not give it to her. So therefore, they stopped speaking to him. This is no lie. They stopped speaking to him and had an all-out family uh, thing against my grandfather because he wouldn't release that teapot to his sister, and he didn't speak to them. And as far as I know, when he passed away, he had not spoken to his siblings over a teapot.
Yeah. I mean, there, you know, some families. I mean, serious. You know, I'm talking about just frivolous little things, but some families will fight over such stupid things, and they really don't matter. It's they're material things most of the time.
A teapot. I told him, I said, wait a minute, y'all cannot be serious about this. He did not have communication with, and he had like 8 siblings. And for some reason, his sister was able to convince the other siblings that he was the one that was the one being the bad guy in it, you know? And they would not speak to him. They would not have anything to do with him. I never saw them growing up. I never knew who
Yeah,
they were, you know?
and Black Widow says all my stuff will end up in Goodwill. Well, think about this right now in Southern California. You know, even some of the entertainers lost their homes. They're gone. That's how fast our stuff can be taken away from us. This this
And we don't
tragedy should
value what's really important, like you're trying to say, Josie. We don't value the friendships, the
yeah,
family, the relationship. We value stuff, and it shouldn't
stuff.
be that way.
And we leave this stuff. And you're right. I laugh at what Black Widow, but because I tease my daughter-in-law, she's not a hoarder at all, and I say, well, I know you're going to throw most of the stuff away. That you know, like I said, these tragedies that happen with fires and tornadoes and hurricanes, our material things can disappear in a split second. They mean nothing. Friendships, relationships, you know, true friendships and relationships,
Is everything.
and your relationship with whatever faith you believe in. I'll put it that way. Um,
It's very important. It's the most
yeah,
important thing, really.
yeah. So
Pam said after watching the fires in California and how it jumped and how all was lost, it means nothing. It is just stuff.
it's just stuff. People, I mean, people have lost their lives in that fire too, and I'm sure a lot of animals. They tried to rescue some. It is horrible, but it should be a lesson to the rest of us to know what is important in this world, and truth is important, and that's basically the focus on today's talk is the truth. Um,
I would
whatever,
ask that people after this program's over, if you will go back and leave a comment and let Josie and I know if you like this content, if you want to continue, because each month, like next month, it's going to be on my channel, and we're here to facilitate. We're not here to direct and try to be domineering and try to get you to come to over to what our beliefs are. We're here to facilitate this conversation. And each month is going to be a different topic. And if there's a certain topic that you all want to discuss, please leave it in the comments after this is over with. And we will research it. We will find information out about it. And we'll try to bring it, at a certain time or, when we can. But this show is just about feeling free to have your opinion of the topic that we're discussing. That's all this is.
Yeah. The truth is so important, and how you tell the truth. Like I said, don't walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, I don't like what you have on today. You look horrible." That's not the truth.
No. Don't say that Angie and Josie said to start going around on YouTube.
Yeah.
No, you look horrible today. What happened? I don't like that shirt. I don't like your hair. Don't even say that rumor.
I'm just go and say hello to a bunch of people. Hi, Elaine. Thank you for being here. And Steph, Sandy, I heard you went to the ER. I hope you're breathing good now. Justine, Black Widow, Joanne, Gina, let's see, Nana Tink, so good, Pam. Good to see all of you.
I'm so glad y'all came over tonight. And there's Selena.
Claudette, Justine, let's see.
Selena came in.
Oh, where is Miss Selena? Did I miss
She came in. She's at the bottom of the chat.
Oh, okay. I know she's had a very busy day. Let's see.
And I want to say this. If someone is not like you and they don't have the same personality you do, still try to get to know them, because to me, it's so much fun to get to know someone that's not like you are. And that's what I'm trying to express to you. Don't keep your little circle to people that are like you. Try to meet or get to know someone that's not like you. You'll be surprised. It could turn into the greatest friendship you ever had. And, you can laugh more maybe, if it's somebody eccentric or somebody that, just believes different, has different hobbies than you.
And try to help someone. In fact, the reason why I've been hosting, or if somebody needs to have a host, is my way of giving back and helping somebody new or somebody who needs to, it's just something I want to do. Maybe I can help somebody and it makes me feel good. I wish I could help in a lot of other ways, but reach out and help people. Try. Somebody needs some help, and I'm not talking about financial help. I'm talking about
because everybody can't help financially, but you can help in other ways. And I'm a firm believer in my belief. I believe you can't outgive God. If you give freely with an open heart and you give, and what I want to say is this: when you give something to someone, don't have strings attached to it, and don't say what they're supposed to do with it. Exactly. Once you release it and give it to them, if they take it and flush it down the toilet, it was theirs. You are supposed to release whatever you give to someone. You're not supposed to have strings attached or hold on to it. If you're going to do that, don't give it to them. But once it's called give, that means you release it. You give it to them. Now, if they abuse it, you might not want to give them anything else. But I'm just saying, once you give something to somebody, that way you're going to be blessed. You're going to be given 10 times what you gave that person. But if you get angry after you give something to someone and they don't treat it the way you wanted them to, or they give it to somebody else, and that might be disrespectful to you, that, hey, I gave it to them and now they gave it to someone else, then you're holding on to it. You need to release that and just say, okay, I freely give this to you. It's yours. Do what you want with it. And then you're going to find the blessing's going to come.
And remember something. Somebody said the other day, somebody was encouraging them to go live and make a video, and that person made a comment about how they look. God didn't make junk. God made everyone beautiful. Love yourself. Stop worrying about your outer appearance and how what people think.
I'll say this. People that don't want to show their face on YouTube, I can respect that. I really
Yeah,
can. But if they would, if it's because they don't like the way they look, or they think people won't receive them in a certain way, what y'all have to understand, before I was diagnosed with this autoimmune disease, I weighed probably 170 pounds. I have gained 100 pounds being on steroids and going through this disease, but I'm just trying to stay alive at this point. Now, I went through the part of gaining all this weight. I've never been this heavy in my life, never. And it was depressing for me to get this large. And then I realized one day, Angie, you are trying to stay alive. You
mhm,
are trying to, get healthy again. You are beautiful in your own way, and if people don't want us to see it, then it's them, you know. And
that's
but you
that.
have to
Yeah,
first reach that point within yourself that you're okay with the way you look. You have to reach that within yourself, and
yeah,
then when other people perceive you, you'll say, "Well, I am who I am." It's just this is the way God made me.
yeah. And like I said, we all have red blood. Think about it. We all, and God loves us. So don't worry about what other people think. You present yourself in a nice manner, and put on some decent clothes, comb your hair, and go for it. Don't ever. You have to love yourself.
I'll read
Okay.
this before we close. It says, "If you
Uh,
can't do anything else," this is what Joanne said. "Give them a kind word. Listen to them. Pray for them. It doesn't have to be anything big." Exactly. I agree with that. And what I
yeah,
want to say is, don't be scared to go into other chats because you're afraid of what someone else is going to think. If two people are at animosity and they don't agree with each other, and you say, "Oh, if I go into this chat, then that person's going to think that I'm with this person." There's no sides. There's just each other, and you have to understand. You got to love people for where they are, and you cannot hold yourself back from caring about someone because someone else tells you, "Oh, I'm angry at that person," or "I don't like that person." You have to live your own truth, like we're talking about here. If you are holding back from going into people's chat or their room because someone else, you're afraid that someone else is going to be angry with you, they're controlling you. They're controlling what you do, and you don't want to be controlled. I know you don't.
yeah.
So
Don't let
just think
anyone
about
control you.
loving people for who they are and accepting them. And you might say something that they'll want to change. You know,
And it doesn't hurt to. And I've learned this. Took me a while again. You may not like someone, and they may not like you. But it doesn't hurt to just say hello.
right? And then
Doesn't.
it may get to the point where it's okay, and y'all can speak, and y'all can carry on a conversation. It may be you to take the first step in doing it and mending things. And then if they don't want to do it, well, you've done your part. You've done your part.
Yeah, and I have to say, there is more wonderful people in our communities than not wonderful.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
I
just a
totally
few
agree.
few bad apples, but the majority of the people are absolutely precious and wonderful. So don't ever let anyone make you feel like you're not loved, you're not wanted, because in my auctions or any of I welcome everyone as long as there's no drama. That you are
Well,
loved, and remember, God loves you.
ladies, I've
Yep,
enjoyed tonight. This has been
me
a
too.
great topic, a wonderful subject. So thankful y'all came in and was part of the chat. I know Josie has enjoyed it. next month it's gonna be I think it's the second Thursday of every month.
Yeah, I think
Next
Johnny's got it on. You
Yeah,
put it
Johnny's
on
got it on
Johnny's
the
calendar.
calendar. It's going to be on my channel next month of February, and from there, it's going to be on Josie's. We're going to rotate back and forth. It's going to be a monthly conversation. So once we start having it every month, it'll get easier, and we'll know the conversation we'll probably have, and we'll let you know. And if you want to get a pencil and paper and have it like a little journal, because I have a book, and my book says "Be the Change." Be the change. And I've been
Mhm.
writing things down of what our discussions are going to be, and some of the things you may say in the chat, I'll write down and try to live by that and take each day of trying to learn one positive thing that you can change in your life. Just one. You don't have to make a big list
Yeah.
of 10 things that you want to change instantly. Just
Hey,
one thing.
it's taken me 83 years, guys. So
But I've loved it. I appreciate
me
y'all
too.
being here. And Josie and I are always here for anybody in the chat if you want to talk. My email's in my about page on my YouTube channel. Shoot me an email, whatever you want to do, and we can talk, whatever.
I
But I
welcome
enjoyed it.
suggestions. If there's a certain subject, like Angie said that you'd like us to address. We both do research. It's not only our opinion; it's research that we've done. When we talk, like when I talk about myself, yeah, it's my personal opinion, and I throw a little bit of life experiences in these
And
talk.
there's
You know,
nothing wrong with that. I really enjoy that.
I call myself motor mouth anyway.
Well,
Everyone
we
knows
don't
that.
mind, Josie. We like that about you. That's a good characteristic.
Oh, anyway, God bless you and thank you for supporting both of us. We appreciate each and every one.
I
And
love you
remember,
all.
enjoy each day and blessings to all of you. Bye.
Bye.